She's a doctor, and I'm a dietitian, and together we are the Weight Loss Collab. This episode, we are excited to bring you a very special presentation by the one and only Amber Sena-Diaz, our PA at Body by Bariatrics. This is her presentation from the Body by Transformation Retreat in May of 2026 in Orlando, Florida, where she is talking about how her vision board is not what she expected it to be. As you may or may not know, Amber is going through treatment for breast cancer right now. And we're very excited that as of right now, she had just completed her 4th out of 4 chemo treatments. But as a 28-year-old woman, this was not what she was expecting to go through this year. I invite you to really listen to this incredible presentation, her perspective on life and outcomes and how things shape out the way that they should, whether or not it's the way you expected, is incredible. You can also check her out on YouTube if you want to see the presentation. There is some visual. She does share some photos and things. So check it out. Look us up on YouTube at the Weight Loss Collab if you want to see that. Get ready to be inspired. Maybe have a box of tissues handy. It's an absolutely incredible presentation, and we hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
This is my current phone lock screen that you just saw on there. It was still frozen, and it still is frozen, in 2025, because I haven't been able to think past this present moment. Hi, everyone. If I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, I'm Amber, and I'm the PA with Body by Bariatrics. It is such an honor to be in a room full of people who are choosing transformation. You guys have no idea how much your stories inspire me. And it's an honor to get to work for a team that does not take that lightly. Just to briefly introduce myself, I am Dominican American, born in Miami, Florida, to a single mother from the Dominican Republic. She was raising me, working 2 jobs, and trying to stay in college. Until one day she realized she couldn't do all 3. That same day, she dropped out of college, and she opened up my college fund. She said, "If I can't, Amber will." And I never took that for granted. At 5 years old, my stepdad, they're both in here, joined our lives, and together they raised me in Kissimmee, Florida, where my high school was 97% minority, primarily Puerto Rican and Dominican. And this was a crucial part of my upbringing because my culture has this work hard, play hard, celebrate life even in the middle of hardship mentality. And that's really always stayed with me. I kept it close as I pursued my education, my bachelor's, my master's, and then when I fell in love with transformation and was introduced to bariatric surgery. I haven't looked back since. If I can't, Amber will. That energy has really driven me, not just academically, but in life. When Dr. Dovik and I initially thought about this talk last year, the topic was intentional living. And I was ready for that. I had my examples and credentials. I'd solo traveled Europe for 3.5 weeks with a backpack, a carry-on, no itinerary, just roaming around. I ran a Disney half marathon with my family, lived in New York City for a year in a tiny studio just because. I had a Murphy bed, those that it looks like a closet and you pull it down every day to go to sleep. I lived in Manhattan on the Upper West Side and I could walk to Central Park. I was chasing experiences. Intentional living for me at that time meant choosing adventure. But this year, it became something very different. I am 28 years old, in what the world would call the prime of my life. And I remember standing in the shower one morning in October of 2025 when my fingers paused over something in my left breast that I knew didn't belong there. And in that suspended second, I knew, in the quietest, deepest chamber of my heart, what it was. But I shook my head at the thought. I thought, not me, not now. I'm busy. I'm living, working, I'm dating, I'm laughing in coffee shops, I'm waking up before the sunrise to sit in my balcony with my Bible on my lap, I'm journaling, the sun is basking on my face. I'm savoring the moment. I'm feeling alive. I'm moving my body, I'm eating good foods, feeling strong and vibrantly alive. I'm 28. I had had a benign lesion before in high school. Not related, but this felt different. Textbook different. Less mobile beneath my skin, irregular borders, spreading, immobile. But I let denial tuck me in at night until my mom's insistence and that internal nudge pressed me to get it checked. Just to see. And that, just to see, became a biopsy. And that biopsy became the word cancer. And that word became a whirlwind of oncologists, MRIs, PET scans, surgical consults, plans for immediate reconstruction, and ultimately a bilateral mastectomy or removal of all breast tissue on both sides. And in that operation, cancer showed up extending outside of a lymph node, metastatic, layering fear upon fear while I clung, sometimes by my fingernails, to the steadfast belief that God is still good, that God is still sovereign, and that the plan somehow is still perfect. It's still perfect. Within a week of that diagnosis, I lost a relationship. I packed up my life and moved apartments. I actually even got stuck in an elevator for 20 minutes until the fire department had to come get me, as if the situation needed some comic relief. This was all in the same week, 1 week. And in this week that felt like months, the absolute longest week, I found myself going through the motions in a way that felt so foreign to the girl who never misses run club, who started walk club. Shout out to my walk club people. Who sits faithfully in church, loves fiercely, cheers on her patience. You have no idea. I'm always rooting for you guys. And chases growth with joy. Suddenly, I was the one being driven to appointments. The one wrapped in surgical bras and soreness, unable to move the arms that I have been strength training for years. The one receiving these armfuls of pink flowers that were stunning and yet felt surreal. Asking God, why am I here? How am I here? Hovering outside my own body, this out-of-body experience in pain, in fatigue, in complete loneliness, planning for chemo and radiation. Chemo and radiation at 28. Meeting with fertility specialists to talk about ovarian reserve and freezing my eggs before chemo had the chance to ruin them. knowing breastfeeding one day would never be an option for me, and learning that could never matter as much as being cancer-free. Futures that felt both fragile and infinitely precious. In these moments, I had a very clear choice. I could choose to shrink into this victimhood, stay there. Why me? Could let grief define the narrative of my 20s. Or I could decide, daily, intentionally, stubbornly, to be present in the middle of ache, to feel every wave without letting it define me, to let resilience be an act of worship, to believe that this diagnosis is not the end of my story, but a refining fire within it. And that is the manifesto I'm living now, that no moment is guaranteed, that community is medicine, that every person that I care for is carrying a battle that we cannot see, and that connection is sacred. My scars are no longer a symbol of loss, but of becoming, proof that transformation is not gentle or convenient, but it is holy and powerful and contagious. The plan is still perfect. There's this moment right before a leap. For me and for many of you, it's that moment before surgery. The anesthesia team introduces themselves, you're safely positioned, everything is ready, and then it all begins to fade out. And they say that when you go to sleep, the way that you go to sleep can help define the way that you wake up. Right before that fade out moment for me, I remember singing a song in my head. The lyrics go, "I've got a promise I can hold in the middle of the struggle. I have a promise that I can hold in the middle of the struggle." When I woke up with my parents next to me, the first thing I asked was for them to play that same song. And I'm thinking, how can I believe the plan is still perfect from here? And even right now, as I'm speaking to you, when I'm just halfway through my chemotherapy treatments, when each session strips me of my energy for the week and some plans are canceled because I frustratingly just can't do more, medications that wake me up at night in bone pain, injections that shut off my ovaries to protect them, but also medically induced menopause and all of its associated symptoms at 28. How can we believe the plan is still perfect? I want you to think of a moment in your life where you felt like you were in darkness. It doesn't have to be extreme, but a moment or even a season, sometimes that's hard for a while, where you thought, I just cannot see the end of this, or this is hard. I would love to really think about that moment. In your life, when could you not see a way out? When was it really hard? You're welcome to keep it in your mind or write it in your booklet. There's a notes section at the end, however you feel. But I'll give you a few moments, because I really want you to think about it. What was that moment in your life, that season in your life? Dark, difficult. Why me? Now, I hope you really thought about it. Think about it from where you are today. Hindsight is 20/20. Did that moment shape you? in any way? Did it give you a new perspective, a new strength, a new appreciation? In what way? It might take a second to see it, and that's okay, because in the moment you probably thought, how could this possibly ever serve me? But think about it from where you are today. Was there anything at all where it worked for your good? For me, one of those most recent examples has been that period of chemo recovery, that week after chemotherapy. There are days where I'm laying in bed on a Saturday, mentally wanting to get up, get dressed, go somewhere nice, live my life. Remember, just before this, I was chasing adventure. I would dance for hours. I just love living life. But physically, in these days, I just can't. Couch, bed, shower. That's a great accomplishment that week. And in those moments, it feels so dark, but at the same time, I know it ends. Not just because I feel like it'll end, but because I've seen it before. Because it's written in experience, in data, from my prior sessions, from the prior sessions of others, in the stories of people who have walked this road before me. And I imagine that that's similar, in some way, to that week after bariatric surgery, when there is discomfort, to say the least. There's the gas pain, the doubt. I know a lot of you in that week ask yourselves, what did I do? Is this my life from now on? What have I done? Can I go back? Can I reverse it right now, today? You're calling the office. Is a reversal possible? Not yet. But you know that it ends. And not only does it end, but life becomes better because of it. It's written in data. There's studies. It will. So, when you look back at your difficult moment in darkness, it worked out, didn't it? Or it was at least okay, even if it was really difficult, even if it took time. It ultimately worked out. So why wouldn't it work out again? Why wouldn't it work out for your good again? Why wouldn't it happen the next time that it's so dark that you can hardly see? Why wouldn't it work out again? These past moments, they build evidence in us, and they give us something to hold on to. This is where we reclaim that light in darkness, even if it's little. That little light in darkness is enough to carry us, even if it's just into the next step, sometimes the next day, or sometimes the next second. I've had days like that. I've texted a girlfriend and said, hey, today's really hard. I don't know that I can make the next second. She says, that's okay. This second. This one. You have enough evidence to carry you through this second. I've had those moments where I have to gently pull my thoughts back when they start to spiral and say, hey, come back to right now. This is the only moment that actually exists. Come back right now. It worked out before. It will work out again. You can still feel your feelings. I'm not saying to avoid your feelings, to pretend like everything's okay. No. Feel your feelings, but you don't have to carry that weight of the what ifs, because it will work out. It will be okay, some way, somehow. And if we keep walking forward like that, transformation happens. There's this story about butterflies. A person sees a butterfly struggling to get out of its chrysalis, and wanting to help, they cut it open. The butterfly comes out easily, but its wings are weak. It can't fly. Because that resistance required to push through that chrysalis actually strengthens its wings so that it can fly. Without that struggle, it can't fly. Some forms of struggle are not meant to be removed. They're meant to transform us and help us to fly. But that doesn't just happen. It's an active practice and an effort to be present, to feel, and to allow ourselves to be transformed. For me personally, it looks like this. Defining what actually matters. Writing down my top values. Actually taking the time, journaling. What matters to me? What do I value? Who are the people that matter most to me? Does the way that I spend my time align with that? If it doesn't, how can I fill that gap? What changes do I need to make to my calendar? Deciding what matters most right now in this season, and giving myself the permission to release the rest or do it less often. Spending time alone, even when it feels uncomfortable, especially when it feels uncomfortable. I can't live an aligned life with myself if I don't know myself. You can't either. And this means sitting down with your feelings. Resilience isn't avoiding pain, just like putting your head in the mud and ignoring everything. It's feeling instead of numbing. Noticing when I'm escaping. We all have our ways of escaping, whether it's scrolling, eating, drinking. We've all done it. And I am not saying any of those things are inherently bad. It's just pausing and taking a look at, why am I doing this right now? What is the feeling behind it? Pausing to ask how I feel, why, and sometimes writing it out to face it, which is hard, right? We all want to go through the path of least resistance, not feel anything, just do what I got to do, get through the day. But what can happen when you sit down and get to know how you're feeling and why? And then last, practicing presence in the ordinary days. The reality is that the majority of our lives are the mundane days. Vacations happen a couple times a year if you're lucky. You can't just feel alive in those. We have to look for those moments in our average days, whether that means going for a walk and really being present in it, enjoying a morning cup of coffee, and really savoring it. A conversation that you cherish. For me, personally, I have a non-negotiable for myself. It happens every morning. There are some anomalies, maybe if I'm on vacation, at a conference, but every single morning, I do not respond to any non-urgent messages until I have had time with myself. Non-negotiable for me. Every morning, I sit down in a snugly warm blanket. The sun is coming through the window. I have a little lamp on above me, and I'm with a cup of coffee, savoring it, being thankful for the day and setting my intention for the day. No messages can be answered until then. Why? Because I can't give the best version of myself until I've spent some time with myself. It's corny, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's really true. Also, using gratitude as a reset. They say that it's a lot more difficult to be anxious when you're thinking about all that you are grateful for. So sitting down, even in hard moments where things are dark, and saying, what is good right now? even if it's just that cup of coffee. So, either in your head or in that same notes section of your booklet, I'd love for you to think of some ways this week, a normal week, that you can practice being present. What's a moment, even if it's just 15 minutes, that you can take for yourself? Think about it actually. I want you to set a time and a date or a time in your day that you can see that working for yourself. Again, for me, it's the morning. I'm really excited for all of you to have that special moment with yourself. There's nothing like a date with you. And I'll leave you with this. Don't wait for life to feel perfect. Start looking for light now, because it already exists. In the uncertainty, in the temporary difficult season, in this becoming, there is light. The next time you find yourself in a moment that feels heavy or dark, and you will, because such is life, I want you to remember this. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need enough light to be present in this moment and to trust for the next step. Because of the evidence you already have written. All of this was not on my vision board. I couldn't even make it for this year yet. Maybe in August, when this is all over, I'll make it. But I'm still showing up. I don't fully yet know who or how I'll be at the end of this season. I am quite literally in the middle of it, in the middle of that darkness, as I'm speaking to you today. But I've learned this. It's okay not to be okay. To embrace your feelings and know, hey, this is a really tough season. To embrace your feelings and also hope. Those things can exist together. Grief and joy can coexist. And if I can walk this road with intention and faith, then I can invite you to do the same. Because the truth is, we will all face moments of darkness, or we're in one now. Such is life. But the question can't be, when will this be over? Because what kind of life is that? The better question is, who am I becoming while I'm in it?